Hello everyone, I'm the founder of Go Global World, and we do a lot of community events. Go Global World is a platform that connects startups and investors. We have large investor network, large startup network, and a technology in between to make this connection happen. So you're not wasting time on the relevant people, and you connect only with ones who are a fit to you by your very precise criteria. Now, we have a lot of feedback from startup founders that investors ignore them. It's hard to communicate with investors. Investors say always or mostly no. Now, this is the moment where we will have a discussion, an open discussion with you, with Daria and Natalia. So they are very experienced in terms of fundraising, in terms of communicating with investors. Basically, Dasha has raised a lot of money for her startup. She will be able to share her own story, how she did it. Nat, she worked at 500 Global and worked a lot with startups that made amazing technology happen and got funded. So you are with the right team to ask your challenging questions. And before we get started, I will let Nat and Dasha introduce themselves. They will show a few slides about this fundraising process and how they want to help you structuring this process. And after that, we will have a Q&A. It's a time-limited event, so we won't be able to answer all the questions, but we will try. So Daria, Nat, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi, my name is Dasha, Daria Dasha. I know it's confusing Russian name, so we'll just have 2, 3, 5 options. So I usually prefer go with Dasha. Nat is my co-founder partner in the fundraising bootcamp. We're gonna start sharing the slides because we have some introduction, but overall we're gonna have maybe 20 minutes of some background, I guess, theory case studies, just to kind of like set everyone on the same, and then like we plan to have 40 minutes dedicated to you, your specific questions, cases, and so on. If you guys don't mind, while I'm going to be starting sharing the screen, can you please write in the comments like what your company is about, just like one-liner. Are you fundraising actively? Are you planning to fundraise? Are you raising like above $1 million, below $1 million? I don't know, like 5 million.
What stage? What stage are you in right now? Like what kind of how much money you're raising? So all those questions just for us to understand that we are like giving you the right information, the information that will really help you today.
Yeah, because we want to customize, like what we're sharing, and all the insights gonna be super valuable. And yes, can you see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Finally, I don't know, like usually it doesn't work. Okay, so a bit about us while you guys writing, texting. My name is Dasha. I'm CEO and co-founder right now. My second startup, Connected. My first company was called StudyFree, raised actually almost 5 million. I'm Techstars New York and Berkeley SkyDeck alumni. We won 5 international startup pitching competitions. So like anything about the storytelling and making sure, like you get money from your pitch, that's usually my strong part, including Stars. So we actually won $500,000 in US dollars in a pitch competition. I live between San Francisco and Los Angeles. I'm Forbes 30 under 30, which right now might not be the most best-selling factor considering all the global news. Yeah, and I'm a growth mentor as well in one of the accelerators. On the personal side, I like surfing, I like water, I'm a workaholic, a typical millennial type, which like always tries to meditate, not to burn out. Somewhere in between right now. Nat, over to you.
Yeah, I am working with the startups for 7 years now. 4 of them in 500 Global, and I was running acceleration all around the world in Korea, in Georgia, here in the US, in San Francisco, in Arizona, in India, in Israel, probably forget something else. For the whole period of time, I probably checked more than 5,000 decks and did more than 200 interviews. So I have like some understanding of the common mistakes that startups usually do talking to investors. Before that, for 10 years, was working in investment banking, and I reside here in San Francisco. And yeah, sometimes I also surfing with Dasha. That's how our partnership come up. And why we actually trying to help startups with this fundraising situation, because I was like traveling all around the world, was meeting amazing startups who's knowing how to build business, and all of them like eventually came here to San Francisco, and we were sitting over the coffee and talking about completely the same thing. So all the startups from Saudi, from Georgia, from Peru, they asking the same questions: why they cannot raise the funds with all the experience, while people with zero experience here, born and raised in Silicon Valley, are raising a lot of money like super fast. So this is like what we are trying to explain how to do and what's the difference together with Dasha. So I'm oversharing. Dasha, you can stop me sometime.
It's usually the first. I'm usually the one oversharing. Now it's usually stopping me. I like the dynamics. So yeah, and about 9 months ago, we started also kind of like side project, which is called Fundraising Bootcamp. Our goal mission was to help international founders to have equal access to funding. Same reason as Nat, from the founder perspective, I was so fed up with all the stories, how Stanford grads was just, like, I don't know, like drawing on the paper can raise 5 million. And then you coming from like different backgrounds, like making your company almost profitable. And, like you don't have access to great founder, to great investor network and funding. So that's pretty much our mission. And today we like to simplify the whole fundraising as much as possible. Doesn't have to be painful. So yeah, we're gonna focus when we're gonna talk about the theoretical part on 2 aspects: how to create the fundraising process, because it's like one of the core aspects of like creating momentum later, and how to actually create momentum and close investors themselves, and the rest time is for you. Okay. So how fundraising feels most of the time. I just gonna talk about myself and how I used to feel. I feel too many founders, extremely frustrating and sometimes even depressing. I'm not sure about you guys, but it does sometimes. You're always too early for them, always too early. But this guy just raised, like on nothing in the same market. Investors ask for profit while competitors raise pre-product. Keep asking million additional questions nonstop without giving commitments. And business sometimes suffers because you cannot commit full-time either to growth of the business, and you have to spend a lot of time in the fundraising. Who feels similar? I don't know, like you can put reactions or like send in the chat. We want to make it as interactive as possible. Yeah. Awesome. And I can see we currently raising pre-seed 500K. Awesome. Okay. Great. I think we're gonna have some. Okay. So what I want to bring to you today is just explain that fundraising is just a funnel. It's just a numbers game and a bit of psychology, your own and psychology of investors, that we're going to focus on and explaining a bit. When we talk about US investors versus other countries, if you guys had experience with raising, and I can see some of you like raise like friends and family rounds, small ones, they are much more risk-taking, which means that they're much more friendly and open-minded when it comes to early stage founders and products. More tolerant to lack of traction, they invest in the vision, more education about the whole venture and understanding risks. What is it to actually invest early stage? They can easily invest 25K after one call. That's also true. And they're really helpful and tolerant to mistakes. So like if you fail or something goes off, they're really supportive. And they really focus on building long-term relationships with the founder. However,
it all comes from, because here it's a long-lasting history of investing. So people are just like investors are more educated. This is not that in other parts of the world, people are like just starting investing. So here people understand what venture is, that it might be, this is like high risk part of the portfolio. So this is like completely okay. That's why it's happened, because people a lot investing in the startups here historically.
Yeah, I think I have a question. Eleanor?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Eleanor from Trust to Save. I have a question considering, is it obligatory to have a legal entity in US to get a US-based investor?
Yes. I mean, it's gonna simplify 99% because what is like about states, they just follow, like what is familiar. Everyone has Delaware C Corp, not S Corp, just C Corp. If you're gonna tell that, hey, I have, I don't know, like UK entity or Singapore entity, it just means that they will have to put lots of effort to understand the legal structure, and it's easier for them to say no. So
it doesn't mean even if you have an experience working for the US market.
Let me explain from the investor's perspective. So if they have something that they didn't do before, it's like not C Corp, not safe, like by very usual template, they need to send everything to Delaware and pay money to Delaware. So lawyer can went through everything and go back. So it's like a lot of hassle. You like, it's not impossible, it's doable, but the investor's supposed to be like in love with your business.
Or you. Okay.
You, who knows?
Yeah. At this stage, yeah, pretty much, yeah. But it's just gonna make it much easier to open Delaware C Corp is like 3 days and maybe 3 days and like $500.
Okay.
That is just gonna open up the market and just gonna simplify you a lot. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
what else about investors? They strongly prefer warm introductions. Warm, every investor is gonna tell you, I want a warm intro to me. I want a warm intro. I want a warm intro. They invest in you, so they have to be in love with you first of all, and you need to build relationship with them, and they invest in what they know and familiar, which is also about like partial about the legal structure. And let's be honest, they used to have amazing and strong pitches and storytelling. Nat, can you please comment about the warm introductions? Why is it so important?
Sure. We, like all the investors, getting a lot of like cold emails, a lot of like stream of pitch decks on their like on the inbox. And warm interest, it's one of the way just to understand that this is like worth something. So it's come from your network. It means that it's already like past some selection. Like I myself, sometimes like it's super rare that I'm like just taking calls with a random person who is like just right to my LinkedIn. But warm introduction, it's like completely different thing. So I know that person who's doing the warm intro is know like what I'm doing. He knows the other person. So it's like much higher probability of a good match. So that's why like you also taking it because you have like a relationship with the person who's doing the introduction. So this is works like times, like 100 times better than anything else.
Yeah, so I mean, cold emails gonna work if it's extremely personalized. I'm gonna talk about this, but just like massive outreach, super small. How people raise fast. The first start to build relationships upfront, and trust me, only 1% of founders on average do this, and I'm gonna explain. Second, they create momentum, and the momentum is when investors understand that they need to invest right now. Stop asking questions, and that's about conviction. It either comes from your internal attraction or market signals, and you can create it. So we're gonna share about this. And yeah, that's something, I mean, let's be honest, there's like really few companies that just grow like this. Like for example, I don't know, like Clubhouse, and investors just like magically understand, oh my God, we need to put money in. In 99% of cases, you have to create it. It's normal, but that's what we're going to tell you. It's working 100%. So how you create, that's like the fundraising process. Of course, we have the prep stage when you have the deck, the data room, maybe like investor pipeline or something. And then the middle stage, that's something everyone misses. So like then you have the actual passive fundraising, how we call it, and then we have actually fundraising. So what most founders do, I have my deck, I'm gonna have first calls, and I'm gonna say, hey, we are fundraising. You have one call this week, second call in 2 weeks, third call in 4 weeks, all investors in different stages. They understand why they have to invest, they keep to ask questions, and fundraising takes months. If someone knows how it feels, I don't know, like just give some reaction and so on. How it should be done in like realistic, I mean, like in the best case scenario, is first you're gonna like this, like the middle part, that's the most important, is that when you get in the warm introductions, you have first conversations and you build relationships. What it means you build relationships that, like, I don't know, you add them to the update lists, you send them updates, you know, like you're not saying that you're raising right now, so you need to fill in pipeline. Because successful fundraising is about when you can line up all investors at the same starting point and have maybe 40 conversations within like 10 days, which means that you need to have 4 or 5 conversations per day. Unless you like super connected, Stanford, McKinsey, Google, YC alumni who can.
And you already like, yeah, in this case, you already have all your lists.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like kind of the same, but you already like done this work before.
If you don't have this network, you need to build it first. And that's the part where you're not telling that you're fundraising. We're going to talk about this. Yeah. Any, I don't know, like, not questions. A letter in 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. I like right now, for example, I'm raising again for my second startup. I do every single week because I'm like in the very active stage. So like we haven't announced the round, but I'm sending updates every single week. How does it look in numbers? So ideally, you're going to have a database, I don't know, like 100, 200, 300 contacts overall. It depends on how quality they are. So then you're going to have a first, like the timing is just approximate. It really depends how connected you are. When you kind of like start to build pipeline, you talk with everyone, founders, investors, advisors, executives in the market. And you ideally going to have like, you're going to have maybe like 70, 100 conversations first ones, but your goal is to have like 50, 70 warm investors who said that they have money and they potentially interested in your upcoming rounds. So once you hit at least 50 numbers, you can announce the rounds. If it's way less, I mean, like if you're raising like 500K, maybe like 30, 40, but 50 is like a safe space. Until then, you most likely will not have this like minimal critical mass, and it's just gonna, you know, like expand, and it's just gonna be really difficult and so on. I know that might be
let me repeat it in my voice once again, because until you don't announce the round that you are open the round until you have 50 to 100 conversation and connection with the relevant investors. First, you have all these conversations, and then you're saying, okay, I am opening the round. Now I am actually fundraising. So this is like the most important part.
Yeah.
And all this like grad schools, people who is living here in Silicon Valley, they can raise in 2-3 weeks because they have this like 50 to 100 people who potentially can invest on them in their phone, in their like notebook.
Let's ask questions right now because that's extremely important part. Even when we do the fundraising bootcamp, in our case, we have to repeat this like at least 5 times over 5 weeks. Any questions, confusion? Why is like so?
Who is doing it? Is anyone in the audience actually doing this? I
did it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I did it, but only cold calls, mostly cold calls. I mean, I applied for a lot of websites. I send emails for a lot of investors. I got a list, but of course, the warm introductions are the best option to connect with investors. So
The best source of warm introductions, that's usually what we recommend, is connecting with maybe like 10 other founders in your space who like not direct competitors, but who raised maybe like in the past 12 to 18 months, because they have the warm investors. I mean, like they're investors who would be interested in you as well. Founders are usually very interested to help other founders. So you jump in a call, you build a relationship with them. If one founder can make 3 warm introductions, then you have 30 investors in the pipeline, and that's pretty, can make a round.
that's it.
Yeah, they're just like one of the hacks. More questions here. Silence. A bit about like who you're gonna raise from. So if you're raising 700K plus in the
We
current
have
market,
question. What, Dasha? We have question from Kevin. What if we need to raise fast?
I think it depends like how much. So like if you need to raise fast, I would say the speed of the fundraising, it's really about your ability to get those contacts fast. I would just say, I don't know, like when I had to raise fast, I just in one day I found, you know, like all the founders that kind of like ones.
Yeah, it's
Female founder.
1 million plus.
Yeah, I raised 1 million in 8 days. So what I did, the first, I just spent the whole Sunday. I found 27 founders who I wasn't at tech. I'm a female founder, it's consumer. I just spent the whole day sending them emails, asking for the intros, you know, like sending second time, third time, following up. Then within maybe a week, I got introductions, and then kind of like, so you just, if you need to raise fast, it's really, you can do this. Like it's about your research. And then if you can do, you know, like 200-300 messages like in the first few days, and then automate the follow-ups, you can actually build it. I mean, it's realistic. You just, it's numbers game. What we also do see, sometimes founders are afraid and they send like 2 emails per day, 1 email per day. You need like 10 at least. So I would just say, like, if you really need to raise fast, open the Crunchbase. I mean, you guys kind of like in the better spot because, I mean, Go Global has like active investors, they verify them. So right now, the biggest problem is to find those who actually actively invest. But overall, the Go Global World platform, open the Crunchbase, see who invested in a similar companies, connect with the founders, you know, like all the founders in all the Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, find their emails, whatever, you know, like, then find their like partners, send personalized emails like, hey, I saw like invest in those guys, we have a similar. Just have to be massive and like from like few more touch points. And once you have maybe 20 conversations, we're gonna explain how, like in a few slides, how to make them close fast. But that's pretty much how we raised like 1 million in like 8 days. And it was not 2021. So, but yeah, I think we have more, right? Questions.
Do US seed investors invest in businesses that are structured in US but target market not in the US? I can answer that, yes, a lot. Like, especially if you are talking, like I was working in 500 for many years, and they invest like almost half of the companies founders came from outside. Some of them are based outside of the US and doing their business outside of the US, and they got funds from the US entity. So you just need to do your research and see if this like the right investors for you. There's like a lot of investors who's investing like specifically in the US for the company who is like structured here and have a market here. but there is like specific people who like probably know that like Southeast Asia, like working, growing super fast, or Africa right now, they're growing super fast and they want to invest in that. Just do your research. There is people. And Dasha, also like you are like, your market is also outside of the US.
Yeah, we never had dollar revenue coming from States. We're like an international education. So like our money was from Eastern Europe, India, Africa, and Latam. And our investors like US based. What I also would like add from my point of view is just find investors who understand the problem you're solving. For example, I'm an immigrant founder. My startup is for like international. If I'm gonna pitch to the guy who's born and raised in Palo Alto, went to Stanford, never went beyond Mexico, he will not understand. He was like always, is there like a market if there's a problem? But then if I would pitch someone who came from India, he's like, oh my God, the market is huge. So like ideally you're gonna pitch to someone you don't have to sell the problem you're solving. And like maybe he's also an immigrant. I can see here female founders, maybe they're like, it's also like female, and you can build a story around this. Or like you're doing something for like a B2B solving company and they had experience before. So like it is really about research. So like it's not mentioned, but just pitch the right people, but you don't have to. Yeah, I never had. I still don't have $1 of revenue in States, and I'm planning to. Okay, coming back. So if you're raising more than 700K in the current market, most likely you'll need a lead investor, someone who's gonna, like define the terms and like do due diligence. So everyone's gonna say, hey, we're interested, but we're gonna wait for the lead. So you need to focus on the lead investor first. So your target audience is gonna be funds and maybe angels. You can find in the Crunchbase and see either leading rounds or not, pre-seed rounds specifically. But like you'll need to, like lead investors not going to be hundreds. Potential lead going to be maybe 15 funds, 20 most. The rest is just going to follow on, but it's there. If you're around like 500K or like between 500 and 700, it could be quite a round. Which means it could be just angels, mini funds, acceleration programs, and so on. So you don't have to target on the lead investor first. I think we have questions.
Yeah, let me structure it for us. So let's first answer Simona question. How long should the email to investor be? Should I ask for virtual meetings? If they agree, how long should the virtual meeting be? The first, like how long the email to investor should be, it should be no longer than the screen of the iPhone. Because everything that exceeded that, they will not read. Maybe they will skim it, but they will not read it. So it's supposed to be very short blurb with a few points, like one-liner, what's your company does, what's your like target points, some traction, and maybe like about your like stars in your team. So yeah. How you, maybe how big market is, because it's like the first thing that investors look at.
You need to make them excited in the first 2 sentences. They open email and they can see and make them excited. For example, me like saying like, hey, Brian, I don't know, like I want to talk, I'm a female, second time founder in the space, and something else. If you don't have this, like if you're like entrepreneur, we had one guy who was like, hey, I'm building this company, I'm like second time entrepreneur in Ironman runner. At this stage, they should be excited to talk with you. So like you really need to understand, kind of like brainstorming, that's like you like 1, 2, 3 killing points that attract attention, but then it should be really like one iPhone screen, and you should get them on a call. 30 minutes call is enough. Just include Calendly right away, no negotiation, what time, what day. It should be just like they click the link, they get on the call, that's it. They don't want to do extra work. Never.
Should it be a call or should it be a Zoom? Sorry for.
Once again?
Should it be a virtual meeting or a call?
Usually it's a Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Usually it's Zoom. And another questions also related to that. Do you actually need to meet investors in person these days, or you can do everything remotely? I saw, like, especially like after pandemic and during the pandemic, I saw a lot of people who came here in San Francisco from overseas, from Europe, and spending time sitting in the cafe and meeting in the Zoom with investors. Now it's like more relaxed. People are, if you are here in the area, it's nice to meet and to have like build some connections, but it's keep being the same. So people are still meeting in the Zooms.
I would say, like for example, even right now, like maybe first and second conversation is going to be Zoom. Like no one wants to actually, like go in person. Like investors don't want to go in person right away. If it's a fund and they kind of like getting closer to maybe invest, and if like in the area, okay, maybe it's going to be nice to meet over coffee just to kind of like. But when we raised formula, I've never met, I mean, like I still haven't met most of my investors in real life, to be honest.
All right. We have, Dasha, one of your favorite questions. Yes. In case investors did not agree on a call, but started to ask more detailed questions in second, third letter, is it a good idea to insist on the Zoom?
Again, I will cover this in the slides, and I will, like come back. Yeah, I will come back to this, so it's gonna be good. But yeah, that's my favorite. That's where you start to create the magic. Okay, before let's speed up, and then we're gonna jump to the questions. A word to get those introductions. If you're well connected, and the most mean to other founders, because that's where you're gonna get most of the introductions. Warm intros, startup ecosystems. That's actually my hack. You have like Stripe, Brex, HubSpot, Amazon, the cloud, like Mercury. They provide like payment solutions for the startups, but they also have a special dedicated community team to help startups. They're like super connected. That's like hack, and I just started to build connections, like relationship with like their community managers, and then like everyone. I just once, like got like 5 introductions from the guy who runs Stripe startup events. They just like super connectors. They run community, and it's their full-time job to help other founders. Also executives in the space. Like for example, if you're solving some problem, I don't know, like what could be like an example? Like what we had? I don't know, like someone
meditation app.
Yeah, there was like some guy who's like meditation app. Like any person who's like in the manager position in Headspace or Calm or like Breathe, they understand the problem and can easily invest 25K checks. You can find them on LinkedIn. So like here, like automatically every person from like middle manager positions automatically angel investor. Is there a portfolio? They either going to invest in Bitcoin or in you. Of course, you're better than Bitcoin. So if you're not well connected, cold outreach, yes, it's okay to do, but just make research and make it personalized, and still try to make warm intros. Startup competitions, very important. If you pitch from the stage, so like anywhere you pitch from the stage, yes. Go to events, useless. Big conferences, useless. So like you need to be pitching in front of those who make decisions. So I guess that's why also like Go Global is a great platform to do this. And accelerators.
Yeah, it's not like completely useless. When Dasha saying useless, it means it's very, very low efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, it's like 0.01% chance. There is still a chance, but like when you don't sleep, you run your company, you raise money.
Yes, yeah, just save your energy for more important things.
Yeah, that's pretty much. There's like lots of information. We will share the presentation later, but pretty much you have a passive fundraising. When you reach out to the investors, you tell them, hey, blah, 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 we do X, Y, and that. We're planning to raise round later in the year. We're just wanting to build connections right now. And the most important thing, you add them to the update list. If you gotta do one thing, you gotta send regular updates. They need to be reminded that you are consistently communicating and sending, like those updates. We just put, like lots of information, like what should be in updates. Once you have 30, 40, 50, like investors who said it's interested and they received at least 3 updates from you, You say like, hey, we announced the round, you know, like you get them all in a very short period of time on the call, and then you create a funnel, and then you're gonna start sending more frequent updates with the commitments, and I'm gonna talk about this. Yeah, okay.
So this is the answer to the question.
So how you create momentum? You have many commitments in a very short period of time. What is commitment? Your major goal when you announce the round and you get on the call is to get a soft commitment. Soft commitment is just investors gonna say you, hey, I'm interested to potential invest 100K. It's legally non-binding, means nothing, but you got a soft commitment. So what you're gonna do later is, okay, that's okay. So how you can get a soft commitment? In the response for the like request for more information, like you're like on the call and they tell like, hey, awesome, very interested, can you please get access to the financial model? I'll say, sure, happy to. Would you mind sharing some sort of like commitments so we're like both on the same page? So say like, okay, we're like potentially interested to invest like 50K subject to further due diligence. Awesome. You take this commitment and you send it depends on your pace, every 3-7 days, updates to all the network. You're talking, hey guys, we got extra 30K commitments, we got extra 200K commitments, we got extra 500K commitments. So what do? You replicate the feeling that everyone wants to invest in you. And you send these updates even to the people you haven't talked to. Like you get a commitment on Tuesday, have a conversation Friday, you send to them. That's how they start to feel like, oh my God, everyone wants you. I just better put, like 50K check on you right now rather than miss opportunity, and I'm gonna figure out later. Trust me, I had funds who like invested $1 million in 36 hours. Just because we had a call, they've been receiving emails, then we had a call, and then the next, we finished the call in 15 minutes, the other fund, okay, we're ready to lead. And I'm still like, okay, guys, I know we just spoke, I just got a commitment. And I was like, holy shit. The sandpapers. So like, it's possible and you can replicate it. Okay?
So what we're working with right now, it's like all investors, they have this past trauma of not investing in the right company.
Yeah.
And when you see that everyone is investing, and when you see this like situation of FOMO, when the checks comes in and you might lose this opportunity too, this is what we are kind of playing with.
Yeah. So also kind of like important moments. If you like on a call and a guy like, for example, your valuation in mind is 8 million, and some guy tells you, hey, I'm happy to invest like 100K if your valuation is 2 million. You don't want to dilute that much, of course. So instead of trying to convince him, so like, okay, so just double confirm it. In case our valuation is 2 million, you're ready to invest 100K. So yes, awesome. You got a soft commitment. You take this soft commitment, you send to everyone. Ideally, you're gonna be oversubscribed. Like for example, you plan to raise 500K, you had commitments for like $1 million, this like soft commitments, because there's some of them you don't want to take money from, or like bad terms or something else. So you can come back to this guys like, hey, I remember you said this, but everyone is investing in 8. What do you want to do? So like, you need to just get as many commitments and send them, I don't know, like, well, I'm very aggressive usually, so I'm like pushing like this. So like when I'm actively fundraising, I'm sending like every 3 days. Depends how your round goes, how like meetings lining up, maybe like once a week. But that works miracles. That's where the magic happens. Did you know about this, guys?
I like that.
Awesome. I want to ask Eleonora, did we answer your question?
Yeah, I got you.
So if he doesn't want to jump on a Zoom call, or just like you can talk about.
I want. They don't.
Yeah, no, if they don't like.
Continue sending me the emails, provide that, this and that, and
Too much. I just started to ignore him, and I just added him to update list. So he was just like in like at the very bottom of the like my update. It's like, hey, if you wanna, like have a call, here's my calendar link. After 3 more updates, he saw that we're progressing. We talked with other investors and so on. He booked a call right away.
Okay.
So I was like, you're building an awesome company. You're busy. If the guy is not willing to spend like 30 minutes on a call to get to know you, why would you spend so much money to prepare information for him?
Okay.
Question: do you follow up on the emails without response? Yes. Like a lot of times. You follow up. You're supposed to be the ninja of follow-ups. Follow up until they ask you not to send you emails. So this is the basic of what people usually like don't do but should.
I would just say, also like in the follow-ups is, like I would say for like investors, because you don't want to kind of like sound needy, I maybe like follow up once, but then I just include them in the update list. Sometimes I'm sending updates to like 400 people. If it's founders who told you, hey, I'm happy to make an intro, up to 5 updates. On average, we have ADHD, we are busy, we want to do, we forget. On average, a founder does his job that he promised after the 4th follow-up. So like, yeah, like something around this. So I'm in trade tech startups, so I'm bringing investors in the tech space, but they don't know much about the complexity of global credit process. I want to simplify any like first I would like, it's like when you have something super niche, I would maybe first start to talk, if you would talk about like angels and someone, or like it's pretty much logistics, I would say it looks like for me. So I guess like anything who like anyone who invests in the logistics space should be able to understand. Anyone who works in the management of Amazon should be able to understand what you're solving. I would just find other companies in like international trade, like logistics and so on, like e-commerce, who like invested in the companies, and their investors most likely understand what you do, and you'll reach out to them. So yeah, that's not what you think.
Yeah, this is like make total sense. Like especially where to start and grab some feedback from those people and understand like how easily you explaining your idea. Maybe they have like some people to connect with. So this is definitely the place to start. And like when you are reaching out to the, like first, when you don't have like network already, like with investors and fellow founders, first you're reaching out not to get funded. First you're reaching out to ask for advice. Like, can you please listen about my business, what I'm doing, and give me an advice? What would you do like on my situation? I'm planning to fundraise. What are you gonna do like in my space? Maybe you know like someone who I should speak to. So you're building a relationship. And when people are actually like investing some time and energy helping you with your business, they're getting involved and they are really want to help.
Yeah. So we pretty much know, like when we help founders, we have this like mini group or like feedback session. We do like weekly, just usually do like case by case. Okay, like who this founder invested, what's your company, like draft an email together. That's how you're gonna get a response rate. So like everything. So I think we said we're gonna have 20 minutes. We ended up having 40 minutes, but we've been answering questions. So we also have a free fundraising handbook that we created. I hope the QR code works. So you just like download. It's gonna be more information than during the webinar. And yeah, any questions for now? So like maybe your specific case. I don't know, like what's your major problem right now? Is it clear? Is it more confusing? So like that's your time right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Marcella.
Okay, so my problem is that I'm relaunching the service. We launched it just before the pandemic, 2 months operation, but I got it. I proved it, the concept. And we made a pilot in Orlando International Airport with Azul Airlines, approved by the TSA and GOA, the airport authority. But now we are relaunched a couple years ago. So my dilemma is I need money, but I need airline because our business model is B2B2C. So I work in parallel to get an airline because a lot of investors told me, oh, if you have a LOI or MOU with airline, we invest in you. So I'm dividing my time between the airlines and also the investors. So it's hard to because with Azul, I used the top-down strategy and it worked. I first meeting with the CFO and then the next meeting with AVP of customer people, and he decided to let's do the project. In 5 months, we executed the project. But now my problem is to reach the C-level of the airlines, you know, and in US, because my company is based in Delaware, US, and our focus in US market. I don't know if you have a piece of advice from me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, especially for like B2B, for like any startups, like chicken and egg problem. Like investors say, like, we need to have business traction to give you money, and you need money to show the business traction and survive until you have a business traction. Like first, I would say that's something I mentioned. Like investors invest when there's conviction, like either from the market, like in terms of the customers, or like from other investors. So like when you start sending updates or like they see that other people are willing to invest, it's kind of like for most like, hey, you know, like maybe, you know, like someone saw that we didn't and we're going to invest faster. So regular updates with just some traction does solve the problem of like needing some market validation. That's first. Second, you can just, I don't know, like we said, this in Russian, kill two rabbits at the same, two birds at the same time. So like, sometimes one of your customers could be also your investor. If you're gonna find someone like CFO of airline, and you can say like, hey, we open in the round, you know, like in 3 months, but I don't know, like, and we have right now final opportunity for angels to join. If you're gonna get some angels from, you know, like, and it's good if they're not gonna be the final decision makers, and you're gonna show investors, hey, actually our potential clients put money in us, even like 5K check. That's going to be such a great signal, and it's kind of like you're at the same time building a relationship with them and potentially be able to survive and, you know, like sending signals. So I would just view every person you speak at the airline as your potential angel investor.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, by the way, there are a lot of accelerators among the airline space, JetBlue Ventures, etc. But again, it's a cold call, so
yes, and it also like takes a lot of time to apply for acceleration. But like in your stage, it would be like amazing to do it.
For sure. Thank you very much.
We have 5 minutes.
We have we have a question from Radmila. We shouldn't be sending a pitch deck in the first email, but rather have it ready after the first call.
Yes, that's what we recommend. Never send deck upfront, because the reason why is, I mean, investors spend at most 90 seconds per deck. Whatever they read, that's what they read. So like if you have a warm intro and a very cool blurb that kind of like identifies core information on the stage, on the traction, on the market, in a clear, that's enough for the person to spend 20 minutes on your call. Then you have the power to tell your story the way you see this, and then send deck afterwards for like, you know, like reminding on the core moments. Yeah. You're gonna get go ahead.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. I think we'll answer the question because Radmina sent us. Thank you.
So
Simona.
Well, just let me find out. If you're gonna ask them on a call and say, hey, sure, can you please send the deck? What it means? I want to know more information. What you can respond, sure, I'm happy to share more about what we're building. Heck, do you have time for like 20 minutes for a call? Trust me, 95% of the investors are going to jump on the call and not really ask for the deck. If they ask for the deck, some of the deck, but yeah. Usually 95, they just okay, yeah. Yeah, we had Simona, yeah.
It's a great session. Thank you so much. So my long question in the chat is that I'm bridging to industry tech and international trade, and ideally, I would like to get an investor who understands both. But when I talk to the trade, they don't understand the tech. When I talk to the tech, they don't understand the trade. So I get lost in my passion for international trade and educator because I come from consulting and service industry, and I'm ready to educate anybody on international trade. So I'm having a problem. I had a 30 minutes meeting with an investor. It turned out into 2 hours where I just talked about I'm passionate about trade. It was a good relationship building, but I don't know if they want to meet with me again after 2 hours. I took 2 hours of their time. So how do you advise? Do I just assume that everybody know what I know and just keep it short? What should I do?
No. You know, the most complicated task is to simplify things. And that's what you sometimes you need like to practice 20, 30 times to make sure, you know, like people actually get it.
You need to talk to your, like, the best way is to talk to people actually who's like not understanding, to fellow founders, and explaining them like with a lot of iteration, like what you do, what your company does. And then like with time, you will understand how to like hit the right points. But this is like, yeah, that takes time. That's like probably the most difficult part with all fundraising, because you are in love with your product, you know everything, you can talk about it for hours, but people on the other side have completely different experiences and have like completely different understanding.
Yeah, I would also like talk from like how you structure the pitch. So I assume the problem you're solving is the problem for the global trade companies, right? They're like your potential companies.
SMEs, for small businesses. It's my
Yeah, small businesses. So like you need to focus and make sure they understand the problem you're solving. And so like ideally you're gonna talk like to the global trade, someone who understands the global trade. And technology is just your way to create defensibility, make more money, save more money, whatever it is. So ideally, like you can you explain how you saw this problem, or like you can, like the storytelling in the US comes from one to many to global. Hey, there is Bob, he's running this company, he's, you know, like facing those problems, you know, like, and that results on the money loss. And actually, there's like 1 million SMB businesses like this in the world who face the same problems. And, you know, like it makes X billion market for us, and we use technology to solve this problem. And so like if you need to make them understand is just what the problem you're solving, not how you're solving, because you're early stage, you can pivot 100 times. It's about the problem, it's about the team, and it's about the size of the market. So, and yeah, just use example with very specific, you know, like just do like a role play, the case play. That's, you know, like what's happening. So that's usually also helps to make 2 hours into 2 minutes. Okay, I feel like we like time, right?
Yeah.
What an amazing talk, guys. I really enjoyed that, and I think that was very engaging. Before we close this session, first of all, please express your gratitude to the ladies who work hard for you today. Please share your feedback. I just launched a poll, and tell your feedback to us. How was that useful? Was that engaging, interesting, or maybe you didn't like it? Tell us the truth. we want to know the ugly stuff as well. So, how often do you want these talks? Do you want Dasha and Nate to be on these talks with you again? Do you have more questions so that you want them to answer? You can say this in the chat, but also you can email us this feedback, and we will see how we can organize this again. I personally enjoyed. I think this is what Dasha and Nate are saying totally makes sense, and this is based on real practice. leading to a real raise. And you are raising, and here founders share their help founders basically. So at Go Global World, we have many amazing founders like Dasha and Nate, and we also have investors. So we can generate you also warm interest to investors. Make sure you create your profiles. And this Friday, and as we do twice a month, we have a pitch event, GGW Sharks. I invite everyone to participate. So this is the event I'm sharing right now, event here. So please RSVP, and if you want to have this event with Dasha and Nate, we will definitely think of this, how to organize more of those. Dasha and Nate, what's your final words of wisdom, final things you have on your heart and mind to share with entrepreneurs?
Just guys, keep going. The most important stuff, it's like keep your mental health intact, so you'll be able like every day to do it, because this very hard process. Find someone who supports you, like better like fellow founders who's doing the same, because this like very lonely journey, and this is like frustrating, and just don't give up. It's doable. A lot of people does it. You also can do it.
Yeah, and I'll support this, and it sounds very frustrating. Just it's really about consistent, like order to the small steps. What are you gonna do every single day? Like, it doesn't have to, distract, but like, okay, like I have to dedicate to fundraising 2 hours of my time per day. Have something to remove from my schedule, because we don't want you to burn out. You don't have 26 hours instead of 24, but just like every small things. Personalized email, follow-up, update. If you're gonna send, 5 emails per day, get, 5 list calls per week, and send 2 updates per month, you're already gonna be in the top 1% of the founders in the market. That's all you need. And you have so many people who can support you, and do not be afraid to ask for help. Mental health, get the feedback on the pitch, we always hear, because the world deserves great products from the great founders. That's final words from us.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I have the final results. Do you guys want to hear the final results, how it ended up? Well,
yes, please.
Was it a valuable talk for you, for the group of people here? 100% yes. We nailed it. So how often do you guys want such talks? 20% said weekly, 80% said every 2 weeks. We hear that. We will take this into account. Fantastic. Well, congratulations everyone. Dasha and Nate, fantastic work. Looking forward to collaborate with you more, and we'll be in touch in private message. All right. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, Dasha and Natalia.
Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye.